Krishna Caitanya Prabhupada Jayapataka Swami
The following is an arrival address given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami on October 26, 1984 in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Mukhakaroti vachalang pangulang gayate giringatri pathamahang bande sigurung dinatarinam describes in the Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita that Lord Chaitanya's devotees, his associates, appeared in different places in order to deliver the people of those places. So Vasudev Datta, Mukunda Datta, and Pundarik Vidyanidhi, they appeared in the area of Chattogram, which is the far, far eastern part of Bengal, bordering Burma. Famous Cox's Bazar, one of the longest beaches in the world. Part of Bangladesh, India, if you see it go way down on the right, that's Chittagong, bordering Burma. It's like where east meets west, in a sense. Where east and over east. The further west you go, the more materialistic you come, so coming around back over to China, that's considered far west by the Vedic. They're the most materialistic. More than... they don't believe in God. Anyway, that in different countries, in different places, it describes that different associates appeared. So Vasudev Datta, he appeared in that place. And then he later went to Navadvip. And there, of course, he joined the movement of Lord Chaitanya. Vasudev Datta was actually very wealthy. He was a landlord. He was like a lord, like a earl or duke. But he was not expert in spending. Sometimes these lords get money, but they don't know how to handle it. So he was misspending. He just spend all the money. So Lord Chaitanya put Shivananda Sena in charge of the money for him. It's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So when Shivananda Sena would take all the devotees down to Jagannath Puri, a lot of those expenses were met by Vasudev Datta, but the cashier was Shivananda Sen. Sometimes we put a treasurer who's tight with the spending of money, so that way it's a safety valve. So, but Vasudev Datta, he was actually a very great kirtan singer also. He would sing kirtan. And there are actually some kirtans composed by Vasudev Datta, although Vasudev Ghosh is more famous. But there are some Padavali kirtans by Vasudev Datta on Chaitanya pastimes and Krishna pastimes. The system is they would sing the whole pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in a kind of a, I don't know if it's that's considered a ballad or what they would consider that in terms of Western folk music styles. But it's a combination of songs which describe the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna, and to link one song to the next, they give a little dialogue in between, which is kind of ex-tempo. And then they go into the next riff, the next song. Like say you're describing Lord Chaitanya's pastime, there's one song which describes his going in Sankirtan, there's another song which describes him delivering Jagai Madai or something, one little song after another. So the person, each one takes maybe 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. So then the person explaining the pastime, he would first, before the audience, before the other devotees, would explain the song, and then he would go off into that song. And the song itself carries much more emotion than just telling about it. When you sing about it, you can express a lot more emotion. Even today there are Padavoli Kirtan, it's called Lila Kirtan singers. Krishna Kirtan can also do this. And they can go on for 6 hours singing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya or Lord Krishna. Like one pastime, Noka Vilas. Krishna went out in the Jamuna River in a boat with his devotees, or the Krishna and Sudama, or different pastimes. They'll go on for 6 hours singing. People reach at 9 o'clock at night, and they'll stay the whole night. And 3 in the morning it'll be over, and just at Mangalarti time they go back home. So it's safer that way for them, because in the middle of the night, it's normally all religious programs, so more women are there. So it's like 60% women or something. So then if it breaks at midnight, it's not safe to walk home at midnight. So they just have it go the whole night, and they walk home in the morning. But so Vasudev Datta actually also contributed some songs to the Sampradaya, and Bhakti Churu Swami has compiled the unabridged songbook. Unfortunately, that's in Bengali, but he collected every song that he could find and put it in one book. It's like this thick. So I don't know. I guess that could be easily translated and transliterated. In there are some songs by Vasudev Datta as well. Of course, we know him. He's a constant associate of Lord Chaitanya. He's one of the very close associates. And we know him, of course, for the time when he prayed to Lord Chaitanya, being overwhelmed with compassion. He's thinking that he was feeling a little ecstasy. He was feeling, of course, love for Krishna, as he was always feeling, and he was thinking that somehow by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya we're getting this transcendental ecstasy of love for Krishna, but all these people, they're deprived. They don't have it. So why don't I take all of their sinful reactions and let them all be freed from this karma? Then they can all get love for Krishna, and they can go, then I'll just suffer for them. It's better one suffer than so many. He didn't have any consideration of his own suffering. He was just thinking that let everyone experience this love for Krishna. Of course, Lord Chaitanya was deeply moved by his sincere. He knew what it meant. He was sincerely willing to take on that burden. And Lord Chaitanya, of course, said that how can the Lord give his pure devotee all the suffering to take? By your desire, the people are already liberated. Simply by your desire. So we see that compassion in the transcendental personality of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who went to each of the continents around the world to push on the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because of which now on every continent there are so many Krishna conscious centers, preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Just like Srila Prabhupada, just by his visit to South America, he visited Caracas. Now Caracas is a very nice ISKCON temple with many devotees. And just by his touching South America, the whole continent has got such a mercy by his touching Russia and Africa and Australia, everywhere. He gave them so much mercy. So when I left here on the, 2nd of October to Miami, Charyadev was very kind. He sent his Bahan, his Ratham, his chariot to pick me up at the airport with his personal driver. And I got someone to take care of the ticketing and all those things, we had the opportunity to associate and discuss Krishna conscious topics. My flight was at 1:30 in the morning, and so normally he takes rest early, but we continued talking until more or less I had to leave for my flight. Then got on the flight to Guayaquil, Ecuador at 1:30 in the morning and reached there at 5:30 or 6 in the morning. Guayaquil, Ecuador is called Ecuador because it's on the equator. The equator runs right through the middle of the country. Guayaquil is right on the Pacific Ocean. It's very tropical, of course. There we have a nice house very close to the house of the president of the country, President Leon. It's only 1 block from his house, so it's a very distinguished area. Has a swimming pool in the temple, big banyan tree, mosaic floors. It's very, my backyard is very enclosed. So they give cooking classes, vegetarian cooking, and really aristocratic people come and learn how to cook. I met someone in the airplane who said she was a middle-aged lady, very well dressed. She had said she was studying vegetarian cooking at our cultural institute some nights of the week. So there was a long line of people, but one immigration officer called me over and stamped me through and said, "Go through." So there in Guayaquil, there was 2 times I visited Ecuador. So the second time was for more public programs. So this time was more for meeting with the devotees and smaller programs with the friends of Krishna there. So I spent 2 days in Guayaquil. Then the 3rd day we had an appointment with the First Lady of the country, the wife of the President. So we flew to Quito, the capital, which is 2 miles from the equator, but it's 9,000 feet elevation. We went to the palace of the President. Unfortunately, we got the pass and went upstairs, but a half hour before the President, there was some kind of crisis, a flood or something, I forget what it was. He flew off in his helicopter with his First Lady. So it was beyond nothing could be done. But then the representative, the chief of staff of the First Lady met us, and she was very favorable. She took prasadam, took the books. So we had we needed some help for some thing with the society. So she immediately took me over to see the first secretary to the president. who also took some books, asked me to autograph the book for him. And he said there'd be no problem. He phoned up the Prime Minister, and he went over to the Prime Minister's office and saw the First Secretary to the Prime Minister, and took care of whatever we had to do there. Some official thing was there. So in Quito, they've just obtained a new preaching center, which is a 2-story building where they're going to have a restaurant and a yoga center. And it's just half a block from the main street in the city, the main street. And so then I had to, next day, that night we had programs in the temple in Quito. Next morning at 9 o'clock I flew to Lima, Peru, which is further south. So Lima, Peru is again on the ocean. It's a city of about 6 million people, 5 or 6 million people. Dasarath Das from Michigan accompanied me. He was pretty amazed by the experience. So there in Lima, they had a temple which was right between the president's house and the parliament. But they had overgrown that temple, so the landlord wanted to take back some of it. So we had a restaurant and a temple. So they gave back the temple, and they made the restaurant kept the restaurant, plus made a smaller temple with a room that was attached to the restaurant. And now they've moved the main temple to the ocean side, 1 block from the ocean. So from the building you can just overlook the ocean. And it's in a very, of course, 1 block from the ocean, it's a very high cultured area of the towns. Right now in Lima they have the old temple and restaurant. They have a cultural center with another restaurant in another suburb of Lima, a very fashionable part of town. And then they have the main temple, which is right by overlooking the beach. The beach is down, it's kind of up on a cliff where the whole city is high up. Then there's another smaller temple and a smaller restaurant near that main temple. And then 1 hour outside of Lima, up a little higher in the mountain, about 3,000 feet elevation, there's another preaching center. They're going to make another restaurant there. So in that one city, right now there are 4 temples and 4 restaurants in one city. And in the rest of Peru, there's a temple in Cusco, which is a big tourist place. That's the ancient capital of the Inca civilization. They all go there to see Machu Picchu. On the top of the mountain they have irrigation, and it's quite a developed city, which is thousands of years old. So there we have one of the most famous restaurants. We have the best restaurant in the city of Cusco. It's been featured in international restaurant magazines as well as in Newsweek. The Cusco restaurant. Every tourist that goes has to take a meal in the Govindas, because we make this special bread which is good for trekking up to this place, Machu Picchu. You have to walk up. It's that type of thing. They go walking up the mountain to see these ruins with some deities of Hanuman. So then there's another temple and restaurant in Arequipa, another city. Then there's another temple, a farm we have in the Amazon jungles. I think I showed pictures of that before. Then there's another temple in another mountain. All these countries, they're all ocean, flat, Andes mountains. The other side of the Andes is Amazon. So anyway, there's about 6 more temples in Peru. So when I went to Lima, they had the reception, and then we had the new temple there, so we had like inauguration ceremony, and there was every day about 300 people filling up the temple. And we had an initiation ceremony and a wedding one night. So in the wedding we added a few extra rituals which are performed in the Sanskar Dipika. The Saptapadi, the 7 steps, where the wife takes 7 steps to the, I believe it's the northeast, and other similar programs like that. So then I went for 2 days to the city of Trujillo, which is in the northern part of Peru. We have a new temple there. And they just had a Rath Yatra there it was a parade in the city where 300,000 people watched the parade, and our Rath Yatra was like part of the parade, like kind of a Mardi Gras type. Well, not the Mardi Gras mood, but a parade type. We participated. So there was some very good preaching at Jagannath, so I put the Jagannath on the altar so they were worshipping. And then for 2 days we had a program there in the temple. And we started the program, the Namhat program, having people sign to chant 108 rounds. So many young people, and many young and old, both, they are about 150 people, actually became very involved with that temple from that visit. This was the capital of a civilization that dates back before the Incas. Forget the name of it. There's ruins there also. It's right on the ocean side in northern Peru. So after a 2-day program there in Trujillo, we flew back to Lima and just transited on and caught the flight to La Paz, Bolivia. To La Paz, the devotees all came to the airport, a lot of them, and met us, and some of the devotees, parents are very highly placed in the government. So they had arranged the VIP lounge, the diplomatic lounge that they use for presidents and ambassadors and other people coming. So I didn't have to go through the normal immigration and customs. I just went to the VIP lounge. They call it the VIP lounge. While they did all the clearing of the baggages and things. And when the car was ready, then they had 3 policemen, motorcycles like we take Jagannath here, escort, led the pilot car to the temple, going through all the stoplights and everything. So there we had a 3-day program in La Paz. On Sunday the television came to the temple, and for 4 hours they were shooting every angle, this initiation ceremony, and there was a big, it was a drama, there was a feast. So Tibet television really got into it, close-ups of the children, the people eating. They said it was a very nice, I didn't stay to see the show, but they took a lot of shots. So that was a very nice program, they did a very nice drama. A couple of devotees will be coming, I think tomorrow, from Bolivia to serve here in the temple for some time. Then there was another program. The day after that we had a program in the Club Japonés, the Japanese club. It was a cultural auditorium which is managed by the Japanese community of La Paz, which they had rented. And there was about 300-400 seats, and so it was completely filled with people. So there I continued in this program of having people, at the end of the lecture, I showed the Rath Yatra of Calcutta. I requested people to give a little time every day for chanting Hare Krishna. So about 50-60 people, maybe there's 150 or 200 people there, maybe 250. And about half the people agreed to chant every day, and they lined up. We were signing forms and books until about 10 o'clock at night. The program started at 5 or 6. Then the next day I flew off to Santiago, Chile. There they had all the devotees in so La Paz is 14,500 feet above sea level. It's the highest airport in the world. It's called El Alto. It's on a huge plateau where there's this big lake. And the city of La Paz is kind of like in a crater. It's like a moon crater or something. You go down from the airport 1,000 meters further down. It's 4,500 meters up. So from there we went down to Santiago, Chile, which is there in Santiago. It's springtime now. So Dasarath, he was amazed because Santiago is all very modern, skyscrapers, modern highways, modern cars, all Toyota, Porsche, Citroen. He said, this is third world. This looks just like America or Europe or something. So they had about 50 devotees in the airport doing a big kirtan. All the people were amazed to see, the kirtan. Then we went from there into the temple. And in Santiago, Chile, I was there 5 days. The first day was the program in the temple. The next day they had a program at the Radio Portales, which is a series of radio stations that goes through the whole country of Chile and into Argentina and neighboring countries. It's a very powerful radio station. So we did they did a special interview with me there on that radio station. Then the day after that, it was Tuesday arrived, Wednesday. Then the day after Thursday, there's another program. Then we went to the radio, another radio station, which is just 3 big powerful radio stations. This was the Novissima. And they interviewed me for about a half an hour. Then they opened it up for calls, and they had about 10 lines. Every line was busy, and people were asking questions like, what is karma? What is reincarnation? Why is it that... Very kind of philosophical questions. What do the Hare Krishnas, about what Krishna consciousness is. So the announcer, over the air, he said, I'm actually now, by associating with these devotees, I'm now going to be a vegetarian. And I know that this may be a little frivolous. He's saying this over the air, thousands of people, whatever, listening. He said, I want to ask you, Maestro Espiritual, that could I have a spiritual name? A Sanskrit name? So somebody told me that once some television announcer asked Tamal Krishna Goswami for a Sanskrit name, and so he gave the name Mudha Godasa. But you see, in South America, they always ask, what is your name? So if I did something like that, then later on, it wouldn't be very good. Mudha means ass, and Godasa means servant of the senses. So, foolish like an ass and servant. So he was very inspired. He said that I'm going to give you this spot 1 hour every week on Thursday night. So 10:30 to 11:30 every week. So then his name came, so I said, well, since you're helping to spread the message of Hari, of Krishna, so you could have the name Harivani, one who's giving the message of Hari, like that. I was on the spot. But the next night, then we have a yoga center in the downtown of Santiago. Our temple's in like a suburb. And it's called the Yoga Center in Miraflores. And that was packed with people. A lot of older people go to the yoga center. there was many 50, 60-year-old people there. Some people had been studying hypnotism. Somebody rents the yoga center for 1 hour in the afternoon for 3 days a week, and he teaches hypnotism. So they stayed for that evening program. They all look kind of starry-eyed. But many of them agreed to chant, and it was a very nice gathering of people. I mean, there's about 10 of those people there. It was a little unusual because they didn't really know what to expect. They weren't part of the yoga center. Then Saturday, we had a big Harinam in the center of downtown Santiago. Like the main streets in Santiago is like an X, so they've closed off those streets. They call that the wharfiness, and those are only like urban, only for walking. No cars go there. In fact, they've even raised it and put tiles and everything. It's packed with people. And then the center of the city is known as the Plaza de Armas, the old Spanish center plaza where one side is the government house and the church and a big park in the center. And then right next to that is this whole sidewalk, streets with all fancy shops. So they actually bring the Prabhupada deity on a palanquin, and they bring small Gaur-Nitai deities on another portable vyasa, singasana, on a palanquin. And, devotees with chamaras and the deities. And that's, in about 100 devotees. And then that's the procession. They go up and down in the streets there, and everywhere you stop, you get 200-300 people. Easily, just, it's a big, they have the deities, and they have Maharajas on one side, and the men on the other, and they're doing kirtan. And the president there, Samya Das, the president, he's very famous kirtan leader. He's very enthusiastic. His kirtan was the time when the dog started dancing and paid dandaba. And he gives a very nice talk. In between the stop kirtan, talk to the people. They give out books and sweets and things. So they told the people that here the spiritual masters come from India, and you can get your books now. If you buy they sell the books, you can get it autographed. So many people bought books and line up and on the street there was autographs. Cante Hare Krishna y sea feliz. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And other things. So that was a very nice Harinam through Santiago. Then I had to go back to the temple. In the temple there was the Today magazine, which is the biggest magazine of Chile, Hoy. And they took a 2-hour interview. Very good questions. Questions about Varnashram and different things. I think that, I haven't seen the article when they printed it, but it was a very in-depth interview. Then to go off to the airport at 10:30 at night was the flight to, as usual, we just got there at 10:10. Already the flight's closed. Somehow or another got on the airplane and got off to Lima. So we arrived in Lima at 1 a.m. and went to the temple, and there all the devotees, they had a reception. We had a class that evening until 2:30 in the morning after the reception and everything. And then that next morning I had to leave at 6 a.m. We did this Damodar Puja in the morning, and 6 a.m. I had to leave back to Ecuador. So this time in Ecuador they had arranged a big festival in Guayaquil, and they had a television there and another initiation ceremony. And then for the first time they wanted to have a program in a city called Cuenca, which is the third city of Ecuador. It's about a city of maybe 250,000. Ecuador is not it's 8 million people in Ecuador. So the Guayaquil is about 1 million, and Quito's maybe 750,000. And this is maybe 500,000 or 400,000, 250,000. But this city, there was recently the Saint Miguel, the Pope recognized him as a saint. 100 years ago, there was a devotee, Lord Jesus there, has been recognized as a saint. There's many yoga groups there that we have maybe 100 people chanting, or I heard there's maybe 20 people chanting japa or something there from before. So they wanted to have a program. So my whole schedule had changed by 2 days. That's another detail. So actually I'd come early. So they'd already rented the hall for 2 days later. So when they tried to change it, it was booked for the earlier dates, the big auditorium of the city. So the only time they could get was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is normally not a very good time for this type of meeting. As the evening is much better for people. But they had no choice, so they arranged for 4 in the afternoon. But the hall was completely packed with people. And after my lecture, I asked for questions, and one person said that is the type of questions they ask. Is Krishna who spoke, what's the difference between the blue Krishna who tends the cows in Vrindavan and the Krishna that spoke the Bhagavad Gita? That was the first question that someone asked me. Guy with a beard. So. I mean, they read our books, it's a pretty amazing question. Then another question he asked was that, just like they were asking very kind of esoteric questions. One person asked that, is it that we have to, first of all, undergo the Hatha Yoga, suffering and the austerities first, and then from there we come up to Bhakti Yoga? That was another question. Actually, questions which are very serious questions about practice. So at the end of that, we asked for people who would chant Hare Krishna every day. We were literally mobbed. I printed up a form in Spanish, the Sacred Order of Lord Chaitanya. And so many people came up that we wanted to take them in batches of 4 and show them how to chant. But it was literally mobbed and with books, and they wanted to get the form signed and everything. Then meanwhile, it was booked for 7 o'clock at night, so by that time the other group wanted to come. So then they had to move outside into the hallway and have the people all line up and then introduce them into following the order of Lord Chaitanya. We went back to the hotel because we don't have a center yet. Now they're gonna open a center in Cuenca. So they rented a hotel room, which is just by the side of a lake called the La Laguna. And there we had about 50 people in this one small hotel room. And so we started to chant kirtan. And then one of the devotees came in and said that we're on the far end of the hotel, there's nobody around. So we just had a full big kirtan. Everyone was dancing for 1 hour in the hotel room until finally the manager, at about 11 o'clock, he came by and there were flowers all over the floor. It got very hot. The windows were all steamy. It was like just one little room. There was at least 50 people in there, maybe 60 chanting in kirtan. All the college, they were all the best people of the town. They were all in there chanting Hare Krishna with us. Earlier that day, they had advertised in the newspaper that the Jayapataka Swami, Guru from India, is arriving. There were about 20 people waiting for me in the hotel for interviews. So I gave interviews first before the program. One lady whose son ran away, she wanted some guy, just different things like that. And so we said the only solution is to chant Hare Krishna. Different things were there. Some person had previously had some Sikh guru and didn't really find much satisfaction from that understanding and was looking for something more, and they read Prabhupada's books, and there's different people like that who are actually very interested in Krishna consciousness. So then after that program, and again the next morning there were people who came there, so interviewed them, and then I had to catch a flight. Now Cuenca is one of his guys is famous for one thing. It has one thing more than any other city in the world. It has the most incident of airplane crashes of any other city in the world. This particular way that it's designed, that regularly planes crash there. So the only planes they allow to go there now is the government has the Air Force propeller plane, which they lease to the airline. And so you have to go in this army propeller plane through the mountains and down back to Guayaquil. So, flew back to Guayaquil, then caught another flight to Bogota, and from there in Bogota caught another flight to Medellin. In Medellin we have our ISKCON temple. Many devotees they have right in the heart of the city. That's Tridandipad's zone now. I give it back to him, but I help him there. I encourage the devotees when I go there. And they have a very nice center there in the heart of the city, so that there were about 200 people in the temple. It's right within a half a block from the main square of the city. It's a city of about 3 million. Medellin, Colombia. So I did a one-day program there, spent overnight in their farm, which is a 45-minute drive up on a hill overlooking the city. Then yesterday, then from Medellin I flew to Cali, Colombia, another city in Colombia. We have a nice ISKCON temple with Nitai Gaur deities. And both the temples have Nitai Gaur, actually. There they have about 35 devotees. So, but there was no translator, nobody knew English. So they brought a friend of Krishna to translate last night, but he was not so good. But somehow or another we made do. But this morning there was no translator, so I, in my broken Spanish, had to give my first Spanish lecture. I was thinking that, well, maybe in 2-3 years I'll give a Spanish lecture. Anyway, even though it's not very perfect, somehow or another I had to do something, so. They said it wasn't so bad. So then, this morning I flew to Bogota and here to Miami that's since October 2nd to today. Some of the highlights. So it seems that in the meantime, since they say they've got a new farm now in Bolivia, it's a beautiful farm, 10 hectares, that's about 25-acre farm, and a new restaurant in the city of Santa Cruz, which is near Brazil. And seems to be a lot of things developing down there. So now they're getting geared up for their summer marathon, the Christmas marathon. There's a few devotees that want to come up here to New Orleans. United States immigration lets them. Then you'll have some more. They'll be able to associate with all of you. So you can see how by Prabhupada's going to South America, he started the ball rolling. And I don't know what Central America or Mexico are like. I haven't been there. I went to Mexico twice. I never went to Central America or the Caribbean. But in South America is much more, these are countries which have been countries since the 1800s, and it's very traditional. They have their own kind of, the devotees there have been very steady. There's a very low turnover of devotees, up to now by Krishna's mercy. And now in Peru there's about 200 devotees. For instance, in Bolivia maybe 50. Somewhere close to 100 in Chile, including people living outside that are chanting. So there's actually a lot of devotees there. Of course, I heard Brazil is doing very well, but I've only been to Brazil once, and that was many years ago. But now, where there was no center, now there must be in the total South American continent, if you include everything, there must be 40, 50 temples total, including Brazil and Gurupad zone and Tridandipad zone. The Prabhupada set the seed, and then Acharya Dev established the temples, and then he brought other devotees, and now it's going on. Any questions? Yes? That's one good point. When I was in Ecuador, at that program, in Cuenca, they sold 200 pocket Bhagavad Gitas that night. And one of the boys had done 300 small books in one day in Guayaquil, somewhere in Ecuador. The main books that they have hardback, they have the Bhagavatams up to the second canto. Nectar, Devotion, Krishna book, and the Bhagavad Gita. In small books they have the Ishopanishad, Life Comes from Life, and they have a series of kind of really simple books, stories from the Bhagavatam. Might have seen those. Story of Magrari the hunter, story of Ajamil. They have a series like that, 4 or 5 different. And now they have also Search for Liberation. It's George Harrison and John Lennon. They have that one. Well, I'm not sure exactly, but under Acharya Dev and Radha Krishna Swami, they have a Spanish BBT. I think they have Bir Raghav or something. They have their crew in Los Angeles that has been doing it. Recently, I think Spain translated one, or they edited one, or something like that. It's been translated out, but they have a whole big computer and everything in Los Angeles under the Spanish BBT, under Radha Krishna Swami, who's working under Acharya Dev. That's the big thing we're hurting for there, is that they don't have any Chaitanya Charitamritas, they don't have the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, the rest of the Bhagavatams. I'm setting up some BBT printing, or I'd like to set up, if I get the blessing, to at least, because the economy, we can't import books from America anymore, it's not possible in many of these countries. They don't allow importation. Huh? Couldn't hear it? Sorry. The government's currency collapsed, so they don't allow importation. They don't allow the money to go out. For instance, in Bolivia, when I first went there was 25 pesos for the dollar. Now it's 15,000 pesos for the dollar. In 2.5 years. So inside the country, you might call it something, economic crisis. Whoever had money in dollars is very rich, and whoever had money in pesos has got pesos. Doesn't have any money. Our devotees had $5,000 to give to the Spanish BBT, and they delayed for 1 week, and in 1 week it was worth $2,000 because they had it in pesos. They delayed. Very nice devotees, but in terms of external things, economy. Internally, you can collect food, and they made a new business there. They have this cart, and in Brazil they make a special kind of like a pakora, which is filled with a caramel, and they have a machine that squirts it out. They're called churritos or something like that. It's like make a batter, and they have a machine, and it's kind of like a pastry, like those French pastry things that squeezes out. It comes out, but it's about 1 inch thick, and it comes out, and it fries right there on the spot in the ghee, and then it's about so long, and they crimp the one end so it's closed, leave the one end open. So after it's nice and golden brown, they take it out and they squeeze this caramel, kind of like caramel, like when you cook condensed milk, boil it, what it turns like. And they sell those for 16 cents each, like hotcakes, and people lining up. It's only we have a monopoly in Santa Cruz. No one ever did it before. It's the most popular thing. Churritos? I think churrito, I forget, it's like churrito or something like that. I may not have it right. Churrito, huh? Yeah. Very good. They made some special ones for me with strawberries inside. Very good. You could have them at the state fairs or something. Here in America, they're fantastic. No, you make some for a buck, for $1. 16 cents down there is a lot. One day, good day of Sankirtan, you can collect $1.50. 25,000 pesos. That's why they're sending 2 devotees up here, pay the rent. So to sell paraphernalia down there is crazy. Someone's had one devotee collect to pay the rent and have everyone else just distribute books. Because getting money for money's sake is nice, you know. You go the whole day and make $1, what's the use? But you can get the cost of the books from the people. It's better to distribute books, just have 1 or 2 devotees collect in some country that has currency or hard cash to pay for the rent. But they can maintain from book distribution they can pay for the prasadam. Prasadam, not so much. You can buy Brazil nuts for $1 for a kilo. And other things. I mean, that's normally like in America it's about $8 a kilo, $8 a pound for Brazil nuts. It's $1 a kilo. That fruit, vegetables, inexpensive. Yes. The traditional way they haven't. There's two. The traditional way they've been doing it is they go on the little buses. They have bus stops. Everybody travels by bus, and they go on the bus and they say, "Excuse me, damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, I am a student." And then they give a thing. They say, "Today we are offering you," and then they give their little talk, you know, and then they have like 3 minutes before the bus is filled. They have already give the driver a stick of incense. So you're going to wait 3 minutes. You can't wait any longer. They have 3 minutes to give their talk. That they're students. They're giving out Vedic books, this, that, and then they hand out books to everybody in the bus. And they say, "Now this book is only so many pesos. You can get the book today." And then the person in the front of the bus takes one book, you know, buys the book, shows the money, then everybody some people they sell 13 books in one bus, some 5, some 20, depending how expert they are. Then in the next bus, the next, and they go like the whole day. Damas y caballeros. She can probably, Alita Saki can probably give you the whole line. Then other kind of Sankirtan they do is paintings. Now just develop paintings and of mainly the Hindu paintings and some modern paintings. And some people do incense on the street, and the buses also give out incense. I was chanting, "Go for japa walk." Sometimes people walk up to me and say, "Inciensos? Inciensos?" "What are those sticks?" I said, I'm sorry, I don't have anything. The devotees are famous for incense and books. Yes? Only in Harinam. Not when they go into buses. Everybody knows. It's not Because you see, this whole thing in the bus is completely illegal. It's just like the friendship of the bus driver. They have to give him a little prasad. But I mean, technically speaking, the owners of the buses, they want their bus to be moving all the time. So that little period of time that they wait, that's just kind of, so they don't want to be like real conspicuous that they're out there. It's not very heavy, but I mean, they told me it's like you have to, there's a period where you're just about full. There's only one or two seats left. They're just waiting to take off. But that's the time you have to go, because then you have your maximum audience. And they also have devotees who just do right on the street. Sometimes they sell Indian clothes. The Maharajis, for Lakshmi collection, they get Indian clothes. It's very popular. In Chile, there's 150 or 200 families. There's some free ports in Chile. In the whole of Peru, there's about 20 families. Most of them came to see me when I was in Peru. I think there's only 1 or 2 Indian families in Ecuador. I don't think there's any Indian family in Bolivia.
I heard you said when the Grand Chinese invaded Tibet, that a lot of Tibetans went to Indian countries because of the altitude and Chinese.
There's some Chinese people there, but I don't know much about them. Some of them came to the temple. There are some Chinese type of people there. Alright, it's time to get ready to...